Hi friends, recently our HR team reached out to me for AI support. They're spending lots of time in Slack to answer questions like, what's our PTO policy? How does our health insurance work? Even though most of the information is documented in our internal side, the problem is that nobody goes there to search. It's understandable. It's much easier to ask questions in Slack where you already spend most of your day. So I helped them build this, a Slack bot using LLMs to answer questions, and the answers are grounded into our actual HR documents, which are 2025 Benefits Guide, the latest employee handbook. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I built this using Zapier, Slack, and OpenAI Vector Store. No code required. It's a very lightweight, scalable solutions, very easy to set up, customizable, and you can easily hand it off to non-technical teams. Let's get started. Okay, let me quickly show you what we are building. We're creating a workflow that has only 3 nodes. So the first one is when someone mentions our HR bot in Slack, Zapier, this is the trigger node, and then Zapier will catch the mention, sends a question to OpenAI Response API, and it's going to send this post request, and it's going to answer questions based on our vector store and generate the answer. And then we're going to send the generated answer back to the Slack public channel. Right, set up OpenAI is actually pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So first is you wanted to start a new project. So for example, I started a project called HR Assistant. So you can create a project, let's say test, and then you just create this project, go to this project and go to the dashboard. And then you wanted to generate a API keys. So you can create a new API key, and it's under here. You can create a new secret key and then just copy that. And that will be your step 2. And step 3 is create a vector store. And it's in the storage vector store. So you can do create vector store and then give it a name. Maybe it's like HR test, and then here you can add files. Okay, so after you upload this, when you click on the advanced option, one thing I'm a little bit surprised is the chunk overlap is 400 tokens, because for most of the apps I build, I typically only use like 20, 25, just trying to have one sentence before or one sentence after. So I think this is maybe a technique to improve the recall. And then after that, you do attach and waiting for it to process. All right, now you can see you have this vector store ID. You can copy that for later usage. And now we're ready to go set up a new Slack app. So to build a new Slack app, there are actually a few steps you need to follow through. So the first is go to this website, api.slack.com apps, and then click on create new app and choose this from scratch. And let me just do a text bot and select the workspace and then click on create app. And then you will come to this information page, and then what you wanted to do is go to this OAuth permission, and then you can see, because for our workspace, it needs to have the IT approved for the app in order to install it in the workspace. So we're going to scroll down to this scope, bot tokens scope, and add OAuth scope. And we wanted to have add app mention read, add another one that is chat, write, and also add channels join, Another thing is if you want the bot to do DM, then you also need to do IM write or IM read. But for our case, right now we only allow the chatbot to post to a public channel, so I didn't add those two. And then after you adding those bot token scopes, and then you need to click on the request to install and waiting for your company's IT to approve this app. After it's being approved, then you can come back to this page. You should see something like reinstall. Because any changes you made, you actually need to resubmit an application to reinstall. That's how you set up a Slack app. All right, the final step we're going to do is in Zapier, we're going to create a new workflow. Create Zaps. And we're going to start from scratch, select a trigger, the first one. And the trigger event, we're going to select mention. I'm going to show you how to connect the account. So here, I've already have something set up, but I can also show you how to set up a new account. Different works, add a new workspace. This one. So this is the new account we just added. Now, I need to refresh the page and this will pop up. To continue, the username is basically the bot name you wanted to include. For our case, testbot, so it's going to be testbot. Trigger for bot messages, we want to know because we only want a human when they add the bot, then trigger the message. So this is false. Only public channels, yes, and then continue. To test the trigger, what we're going to do is I can click on test trigger. Down records in your Slack account will load up 3 most recent one. So we can see this message and sweet. So now it's actually connected. So the next step, we wanted to set up a webhook trick. Unfortunately, webhook is a premium feature, so it's not free. Select the customer request because customer request compared to regular post request is you can post the whole data JSON. So it's a little bit easier. Continue. And then we're going to make a post request to OpenAI's response API. So we'll select post. URL will be data passing through false. Right, one thing we need to change is I can add the data JSON in the description. Basically, what you want to do is in this data here is you are making a post request with a model, selection, instruction, that's your system prompt, and tools, we're going to use the file search, which will search this vector store with this ID. And here the content, the input text, we wanted to select plus button. Here the text, we're going to swap it with this message from Slack, and that's the input text for us. So after you paste the data, you wanted to select unflatten. No, we're not going to use basic auth, but we're going to add headers. The API key we created in the step 1, and that's the API key. Add another and return raw response false because we're going to process, and then continue and the test. Let's find the new records. So we have a new record that is me with what's our home office benefit, and we continue with the selected record. And then in the data in, we click retest step. In this data out, we should be getting response. You can see it's the output query home office benefit, and the output, there's some output text, and it's using our handbook and generating output. So this is the output content text, the home office benefit and outside interactive. Okay, so the final step is we're going to add an action to send the message, to send the response back. Action event, send channel message. Continue. And the channel we're trying to send back is HRQA. And add Zapier app to channel automatically. Yes. Message text, we wanted to click on this plus button, and it needs to come from the step 2 response here. Yeah, so that will be our response. And send as a bot. Yes. Bot name, HR bot icon. You can just use robot face. Include a link, it'll be no, but you can leave it as default. Yes. Test the final step. Okay, this is working. Publish. It will show you now you have a version 1. Now it should be live. Let's ask more questions. It's working. And there you have it. Now you have a AI assistant can answer HR questions instantly using your actual company documents. Of course, you can customize it for marketing documents, IT, sales, onboarding, really anything that you need a quick answer from the internal documents. I also wanted to share a quick mindset shift. As a professional coder, whether you're a data scientist, software engineer, developers, we have the natural tendency to think, maybe I'll just write the code and deploy myself. In cases like this, I actually think using glue tools like Zapier, NAN is a better path because it's much easier to hand off to non-technical teams. It's easy to customize, and if they decided the workflow is not working for them, you haven't sunk weeks to write the code, figure out the deployment in AWS, figuring out whether you need to have a salary task. For enterprise AI adoptions, I see 2 main directions. First is building GenAI apps for your customers. Second is using AI for internal task automation to cut down the repetitive tasks for yourself and for your coworkers. Most companies only have a handful of core customer-facing apps. So if you are not on those projects, or maybe those apps are not ready for GenAI integration yet, don't worry. There are tons of opportunities for the second directions, using AI for automation to improve everyday workflow. I personally get lots of satisfaction for helping people understanding and applying AI to their real problems. So if you are curious about whether AI can help with the idea you have, feel free to reach out. I would love to help and explore the solutions together. That's a wrap for today. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you soon.